Hi everyone, Barry here from Mitosu Crafts and thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to, well I am, not we, I am going to be making a card using the lovely Life is Beautiful stamp set here, and I'm going to be making a different size card. I'm going to be making a DL size card, and depending on how time goes I'm going to be making an additional cards with the offcuts as well. The technique which I'm going to be using today is the lovely baby wipe technique. Now, we've done it before a few times already, but it's always a great one to grab out, especially for I think the theme of this for the theme of this card, which I'm trying to do, which is autumn. Is the inspiration behind it. So I'm going to be using re-inkers, okay, to do the lovely baby wipe technique. And this set, I thought, as soon as I saw this set, I immediately thought to myself, baby wipe technique, different colours on the leaves. So I've got myself a selection of re-inkers, which I'll go through with you in a moment. So yes, so as I mentioned, so Life is Beautiful stamp set with the baby wipe technique to make a DL size card. And if we've got time, an offcut, an additional card as well with the offcut. So the materials which I'm going to be using today, obviously Life is Beautiful. I'm going to be using the Bumblebee ribbon here as well. So this is the in colour, 2020 to 2022 in colour, so in Bumblebee. I'm also going to be using some of the In Good Taste wooden elements as well as the rectangle stitch framelit dies, which are the rectangle stitch dies, which you can also get as well. And I'm going to be using 2 of these. So these are the 2 sizes which I will be using out of that set as well. Lovely set, definitely a go-to one. I would also be using some Bumblebee cardstock. I'll go through the measurements shortly, and I would also be using some cinnamon cider cardstock, so you'll need 4 pieces cut down to size. Okay, so the size of the Bumblebee cardstock will be 21 centimeters by 4.5 centimeters, and you will need 4 layers here, which will need to be 4.9 centimeters by 8.3 centimeters. So that there is just 3 millimeters bigger than what this die cut will give you here. So it will give you a perfect layer around that. So you'll need 4 of those, and you'll need 1 of those ones there, as well as a couple of elements and some ribbon. Obviously, the most important thing which you will need is you will need some Whisper White thick cardstock, which is this one right here. This will be for your card base. So this is what we're going to be making the actual card out of, and then you will need some Whisper White cardstock, which we are going to be just doing our stamping on. So I've got some offcuts here, and most importantly, some baby wipes. Okay, any brand. Ours are a little bit dry actually, but obviously if you get some nice fresh ones, they'll be nice and juicy. But some kind of baby wipe, something to as a carrier for your re-inkers. So this video initially is for the Casually Crafters design team blog hop, which I am part of, and the theme for this was autumn term, so that's why I have decided to use this one and the colours. So cinnamon cider is the ink I'm going to be using for the pad I'm going to be using for the tree. I've got myself some Daffodil Delight re-inker. I've got myself a bit of Old Olive re-inker, some Merry Merlot. I may not use all of these. Pumpkin Pie, may not use that one, but we've got it out anyway. Real Reds. We have got Mango Melody. And may not use this one here, but Soft Suede. So the 2 which I'm not sure if I'm going to be using is Pumpkin Pie and Soft Suede, but I've got those out just in case I needed them, because they were autumn colours. So they're the colours which I have got initially. Alright, so if you're not sure of the baby wipe technique, all it is you just want to grab yourself some baby wipes, and you want to grab yourself a couple of these. 2 should be enough. Okay, they need to be wet, and what we want to do is I just want to lay these on top of each other, just to move my re-inkers out of the way. Lay them on top of each other, and then fold them in half. And then I can then fold it in half again. Okay, you want to make like you're kind of making your own ink pad. well, you're not kind of making your own ink pad, you are making your own ink pad. So it's a carrier, so you want it to make sure that it's big enough for the stamp which you're going to actually be using. Okay, so now I've folded that, I've got a nice little position going on. I'm going to bring in my cardstock, probably go with that one there first, and I'm just going to grab my die, okay, because I want to just have a little look at the positioning here. So I'll probably stamp in this area over here and towards the bottom, so I'm not going to, this is kind of like a bit of a wasted space around here. Alright, so but first of all I'm going to grab my re-inkers. So all I want to do now is I want to grab these, and I just want to take the lid off carefully. Now they are quite juicy, so be very, very careful. You come with a warning, you will get messy fingers, so be careful. And we just want to pop a few drops around. Start off, it's easier to take away, it's easier to add than it is to take away. So that's the real red which I've used. We're going to have Daffodil Delight now, just to join those up. And let's go with a little bit of Merry Murdo, so we've got a nice darker red going in here. So you can just see what I'm doing. I'm just building up these colours, and I'm making so I just want a bit more green in there. There we go. So there is my ink pad. So using those colours right there. Then what I want to do is I'm just going to pop that to one side for a second. I'm going to stamp my tree. So I've got all of my stamps here. So I've got my lovely tree, and I'm going to stamp this in cinnamon cider. I don't need to worry too much about the bottom. It's mainly the branches which I'm interested in. And it's easier for me to probably be higher up, and because I can then die cut this out, which I will do, so it's easier to just pop it in the middle like so. And I'm going to grab my other bit as well here, and I'm going to do that again. So I'm just inking up my bits here. Now I'm going to do this how I want it to be, because what I want is some branches coming in from the top corner. So I'm just going to actually use the corner as I want and do it like that. Okay, pop my tree trunk out the way. So I've got my two pieces. So that's kind of how my card is going to look once I've die cut it out. So it's going to look like something like that with the composition of it. I am done with my cinnamon cider now. And then what you want to do is you now want to grab your leaves, and we now just start stamping. So there's a little tip for you for this. What I would suggest you do is try not to move the stamp around too much, because you'll then end up muddying the colours. So try and keep it roughly in the same position, so then that way you'll keep the colours much about the same. And as you push down, you'll start to then smush those colours together. Okay, and we do that, and then all we want to do now is just stamp them, and we can see we've got a beautiful autumn looking tree. So I am moving myself around the ink pad, but when I've chosen an area, that's where I'm choosing to then ink that area up only. So not to muddy the colours. I think the reds on these, so the Merry Murder and the Real Red, will work lovely on this. So that's that. So there we go. It depends on how much you want to do. Okay, so that's that. So let me bring that up and show you. Can you see then you've got these lovely, lots of different colour tones in there, which I think is absolutely stunning. Okay, and we will do exactly the same for this one. So be careful when you're doing this, because you will, especially when you're using baby wipes, you will get dirty fingers. So you just need to be aware of those, alright? Because if you then get, you can see I've got some ink on my fingers already there, and if I go in and start touching and they're wet, I'm going to transfer that ink onto the fingerprint marks over. So just be aware. You do come with a warning on this to make sure that you get it. You don't put your fingers around. So I'm just going to clean up my workstation here. That's good. Excellent. Okay, so that there is done. So what you can do is you can save this if you want to. You can pop it in a case if you wanted to, and you can keep reusing it. So be prepared to make a few cards if you can, and make the most out of this. Now I will come back to this in a moment and do some inking. Actually no, I'll do it now whilst I've got it, so I'm not going to get dirty. So I have got I've already gone ahead and I've gone and pre-cut the label here. And I am going to take the sentiment "Life is Beautiful," and the same thing, I'm going to ink this up with my baby wipe, and then bring it down so I can see it. And there we go. Oop, try not to drop it on anything. And there you go. You've got a lovely rainbow effect sentiment as well. I just love this technique. I think it's great. It's so effective. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. So that one's actually done now. And I'm just going to pop my baby wipe technique and sheet to one side as well. Going to grab myself my Whisper White Thick and my trimmer. Now, depending on where you're watching us from, in the UK, our cardstock is 21 centimeters in width anyway, so you don't need to cut it down in width, but what you want is a 21 centimeters. Oh, and I've forgotten what it was. I've got it all written down. You want 21 centimeters by 19.8 centimeters, and you then want to score it in half at 9.9. Okay, so as I said, our cardstock here is already 21 centimeters in width already. And that was a cat trying to get across the table. Sorry about that. Cat's got no boundaries whatsoever. Okay, take out your trimmer here, and we will cut this at 19.8 centimeters. Down that side there, and this is a bit which you can then use your offcut for later on, and then we want to then score this at 9.9 down the center again as well. So there we go. And this one here, because this is going to be 21 as well, we will then score that at 10.5, and that will then create us a second card right there. Okay, so let's bone fold this one here. So fold it in half, use your bone folder, just get a nice crease on that. That can go to one side there now. And I'm going to leave this one. I'm not going to bone fold this one because it's going to be easier for me to stamp directly onto this whilst it's flat. So I've already put the score line in here, but I'm not going to bone fold it just yet. I'm going to leave that as it is. Let's just move my re-inkers out the way, because what I want to do is I want to bring in the big shot now. All right, and we will use this die right here. So we're going to go around, and I am going to cut my trees. Alright, so, and I'm going to try and do it equally. So I'm going to use our big shot. Now, we have got the good old big shot here. Very, it's been a loyal friend of ours. But we are taking delivery today of the new Stampin Up Cut Emboss machine. So that is actually out for delivery as we speak. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so I'm going to just position that one there like that. Now, you may notice that I put my dies in, especially if you've got a straight edge here. I pop them in at a slight angle. If you pop them in straight on, then it's gonna, you've got a whole straight edge which is gonna hit the roller inside here, which is then gonna be a struggle to go through. So if you know, you go when you're using your machine, your winder here, and you get to a flat edge and it's really difficult to go through, just try rotating your die around so it's on a slight angle here, and you will notice that it will go through so much smoother. And you don't get that jumping as much. You get that little bit of jumping at the end, but sometimes you get that at the very beginning when you've got a straight edge to go through. So if you are finding that you're getting that, then just put your die at a slight angle and it goes through so much easier. Okay, so that's the first one done. It says our plates are so dirty that it gets stuck to it, so I'm just going to use our take your pick tool. That's that one. So I'm going to have nice new fresh plates this afternoon to play with. Okay, and I'm going to pop the second one in there, lining that up roughly in the same, along the same height, giving it a little bit of a gap. And we go in. And we'll drop the plates at the same time, shall I? Okay, so that's that second one. Good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the other piece which I've done here, and I want to die cut this out like this. So I'm going to have that as close to the edge as possible on that one. Obviously you can, if it was worth, you could do this in one long strip of paper. It's just that I quite like doing these panels on this one. I just think it just took it to another level. Okay, and then a second one here in the same position roughly. Like that. That one like so, and that's it. That's our die cutting done, so I can move my big shot out the way. Make sure I put my lid on my baby once again, otherwise they're going to dry out. So there we go. That there is my dies my pieces cut out. So I've now got myself like a little bit of a scene here. So what I want to do now is I want to grab myself the cinnamon cider pieces which I cut out already. So as I remember, these were 4.9 by 8.3, so you'll need 4 of these to go on top of your bits right here, and I'm just going to stick these down with a bit of Tombow glue. So I'm going to get my glue and I'm just going to stick these down first so they can get nice and stuck. We're liking our small borders at the moment, so 3mm is quite a nice border at the moment. There we go. So that's those 4 parts now done. Right, and we've also got our sentiment which we created already earlier on, which I'm going to pop in somewhere around about here. What I want to do first though is I now want to grab my cinnamon cider again, and I want to grab the birdhouse, okay, and I'm going to stamp the birdhouse in cinnamon cider, and I'm just going to have the birdhouse hanging from one of these branches down there like that. There we go. Lovely. And that's good. Now I can leave that as it is. What I have done is I have got myself another bit of paper, so here, and I'm going to stamp this up one more time. So you've got 2 options here. I quite like the idea of the birdhouse being on dimensionals and being raised up ever so slightly. Okay, so what I would do is I would stamp it down on here first, and then I'd stamp it on another piece of paper, and then I would then cut out the house like, and just snip around that house. What I also wanted to do as well is that we have got these shimmery crystal effects, and these give a lovely gloss finish to something. So what you can do is you can then, now again, another warning on this, you're going to need to give yourself a little bit of time because it's going to take some time to dry. So you're going to need to probably do this element and then leave it for a good couple of hours, if not overnight. I've done my one overnight, so this is however you want to do it, but this is a great way. So you just want to pop your shimmer effects and squeeze it out, and then you then just want to then paint this on. Now it's quite thick, so it's going to give you a little bit of dimension as well. When it goes on, it will be cloudy. And we just want to then pop this in like this. So I'm squeezing gently and kind of painting around at the same time. And just going up to the edge of the... Now there's some little bits of glitter which is encapsulated in this. So as it dries, you'll get a little bit of you'll get a nice shine, and you will also get a bit of glitter. What I'm going to suggest you do is, I've got a toothpick here. Let me just bring this up and show you. Alright, so can you see there, you've now got this kind of like glossy liquid on there. With a little bit of glitter. Now if you want to, you can grab yourself a toothpick and kind of just pull out the edges if necessary. There's a little tip for you. And then once you've done that, you're going to need to pop this to one side and let that dry for a good couple of hours, if not overnight if you can. Once you've then done that, and here's one I've done earlier on, you can now see we've got a nice clear. Now I was able on this one here to actually avoid the hole as well. So you can see that there. That's it. It's got to catch the light. So you've got a little bit of glimmer, you've got a shine to it, so it's gone glassy with the glitter inside. And that there is then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that on some dimensionals, and that is then going to then sit over the top of that. So it's just another element. So if you're interested in those, they are shimmery crystal effects. So obviously one thing I haven't mentioned, you may know this already, anything you see us using you can purchase from us via our online shop. Okay, links to that can be found down below in the description, okay, to our online shop. If you do decide to shop with us, which we would love for you to shop with us, please remember to use the current host code as well, which can be found on our website, mitosucrafts.com. Enter that code in at checkout, and then that will then notify us some details, and then we can, if we get enough orders together, we can then purchase some little extra things with the rewards, and then we can send you out like a little thank you as well at the end of next month. Obviously, you'll get a handmade thank you card from us anyway, but if you use that code, and that gives us the ability to add and send you a little something. So a little sample, it may be a strip of some gems or something, or a little bit of paper or some ribbons. But there's something which you can then test. You can have a little bit of a try out and see whether or not you like them, rather than you having to buy a whole pack and then realise that they're not really for you. So that's kind of what we do. So it gives us the ability to send you some samplers. Okay, so be sure to pop that code in as well. Excellent. All right, so I've got that part is now completed, so getting ready to pop this on in a second. So I've got my bumblebee bit here, which was 21 centimeters by 4.5, and that is going to go approximately around here like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is these are then going to then layer up on top like so. So I kind of want this to come down that area like that, and that's how that's going to then position itself. So it just breaks that. I think that yellow, the bumblebee, just breaks that up at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then just stick this down straight onto the cardstock. Like that. So stay tuned. I'm gonna make another card after this using the baby wipe technique, using the offcut as well. So a nice simple card for you. That's good. And then I'm just gonna grab my dimensionals. I'm gonna pop some dimensionals. So I can either go down flat. No, I'm going to go dimensionals. Okay, so dimensionals. What I'm just going to use. Okay, I've picked up the minis, so that's fine though. And then what I'm going to do now is I am going to use lots. So if you don't like people that use lots of dimensionals, you might just want to close your eyes for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to use 5 on each. Now, if you're new to our channel, you probably haven't seen already. We got asked a lot of questions. Why do we put the black lines on our dimensionals? Simple answer is it's just easy to identify what ones have got the backing papers on still. And that's the simple answer. So when you're using a project and you've got lots of dimensionals around, obviously the backings are all white, and the dimensional is white. So it's a little bit harder, especially if you're in a rush or in low light or anything like that. It's a little bit harder, and then you end up sticking your finger on top of it to think, oh, have I taken the backing paper off of that? And then you put your greasy fingers all over it. So it's just our way of identifying what papers have had backing papers, what dimensionals have had the backing papers taken off already, and that's all it is really. So I've got my pieces here now. See, I want to be thinking about positioning here. So ideally what I want to do is I would say I want to work somewhere with the middle first, and then work, or I'm going to go with the two outside ones first. Actually, I said I was going to go with the middle. I'm going to go with the two outside ones. And if I'm careful, if I don't push this down too much, then I will probably be able to take these off before they set too much. So I'm just going to like that. And I'm going to do the other side as well, and then I'll work in. At least then I know the two outer ones will be the same ratio from top and bottom, top and side. There's nothing worse when trying to do something like this that you think, okay, get it all nice and perfect, then when you get to the ends, you've got a huge gap. So I just find it easier sometimes just to work from the out, or work in out, or I'm working from the outside in on this one. I just need to just hold that up for a second. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. And then we can then position these center ones in here as well. There we go. Okay, so that's my little scene created right here. Then you've got your sentiment, which is already done, so that there it was going to sit over it like this. Okay, but what I want to do first is I've got myself some ribbon. So I've got myself a bit of the bumblebee ribbon, which I've already cut down. I'm going to need myself some tear and tape here. So I'm going to pop these. So I'm going to double dimension. So this card now is not suitable for posting under a normal standard letter. Obviously in the UK it will now go up to a large letter, because we've got double thickness on this. So just be aware of that as well. So if you are posting them, be careful with your dimensionals. Okay. And that's going to go, obviously I do want to pop one in the middle, so I don't want a saggy middle. Good. Alright, and that's going to go around like that. So what I've got here is I've got a bit of bumblebee ribbon. This has been cut to, let's just tell you how long this is. Approximately 11 centimeters, okay, 10.5. Maybe go a little bit larger, and then you can then trim it down so you can then make your edges. Okay, and I'm just going to then just fold that in half, and that is going to go somewhere then like that, and that is going to then go over. So what I do want to do is take a little bit of tear and tape, and that's going to go in like that, so I can pop a little bit of tear and tape on there. And then that can go in like that. That there is then ready for that to go over the top of that one like that. Now I've also got the wooden elements here, so these are the In Good Taste wooden elements. I think these are lovely. They're really, really nice. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to think about, so I might actually, should have thought this through at the beginning. I'm going to just remove this dimensional right here. pop it back on the sheet so I can reuse that again in a moment if necessary. Because what I want to do is I want to, that's going to end up going underneath it. So that if I leave that dimensional there, it was going to interfere with it. So stick that over the top, like so. A little bit of glue on the back of these wooden elements is all you need. And then we're just going to lift it up ever so slightly. And that can then just sit underneath that. I've got these tiny little crosses which go in there as well. And the same thing, you would just need tiny bit of glue. I mean the tiniest amount of glue. Can you see that there? That's all you need. And I'm gonna go, where do I go? Let's just go down like that. So I want a little bit of a cluster around about in the middle part here. And then I'm gonna then just pop a couple over on the tree. So I'm just going to randomly pop these around just as little accents. And to finish off, you've got the little birdhouse right here, and that dimensional which I've done earlier on, that can then go back onto that one there, and that can then sit over the top like that. And there we go. There is my first Life is Beautiful autumn theme DL size card. So what do you think? Do you like? Let us know in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you think about this. Anything I would do differently. So just let us know. I'd love to hear it. So comments down below as well. All right. Links to all the products which we're using can be found down below as well. So if you'd like to purchase anything, you can do. All right. So that's the first one. So with our Whisper White Thick, we had another piece left over, which was this one here. So this was 21 centimeters here, and then score this at 10.5. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm going to bring in my sheet again with my baby wipe on it. So again, you might want to just, if you're doing this, have your pieces of paper already cut and ready to go, and then you can then just make loads of these cards up. I'm going to grab my tree one more time. So this is a nice single layer card, this one here, and I'm just going to then ink up my branch again, my tree and branches. And there's some lovely other elements in this as well. You've got some dots in this as well. So I'm just going to pop this in slightly off center and down like so. And I'm going to mix it up now. On my prototype I did the leaves again, but I might actually use the dots and see what they look like. Shall I? Yeah, let's change it up a little bit. Let's see what the little dots do. So you've got these dots right here. Off we go, and on with the dots. So the same principle here. I've got my baby wipe, and I'm just going to now ink this up. So you can see now, since I've been talking and done it first initially inked this up, it's now spread out an awful lot. So it will move, and we just go with, so we make a different style tree, so a dotty tree. again, you just need to be careful with your inky fingers. That's it. So nice and simple. So you can make lots of leaves if you want to. I'm going to use Hello on this one, and the same thing. I'm just going to try and keep it a little bit more to one colour here, but I'm just going to keep it to the green, maybe a green and a yellow, and we'll ink that up down the bottom down there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop Hello down there like that, and we will grab the birdhouse. I'm going to do exactly the same on this one, so let's go with a red birdhouse this time. So I'm just directing there where I want it to be to the colour I want, and we will then hang that birdhouse. And I just messed up, but that's not a problem, because if I'm brave, let's see how brave I want to be. Oh, look at that. I was able to position that over perfectly. Maybe a little bit off on the bit of string hanging the birdhouse there, but I've done that perfectly. That was lucky. If not, it wasn't an issue. What I would have done is I would have then stamped it, and then I would have then cut it out and then stuck it over the top of it, but I was able to save that. Whew. See, it happens to all of us. We all make mistakes, but it's how we correct that mistake, I suppose, is the difference. So it's not don't panic. There's always a way. If you can't cover it up with anything or with stamping, there's embellishments. Now that's what embellishments were designed for, I'm sure. Okay, and we will then just do that. So this card here then has measured 10.5 by 10. What I would do, I suppose, is to really just bring this in. I probably should have done this at the beginning, was I would have then cut this down to 10 centimeters, just to even that up a little bit. And that's your second card. So using the offcut, so you've got 2 cards there out of the one baby white, but you can make so much more out of this. First one here, and the second one as being a single layer, so not so postage friendly, and there's going to be a little bit more to a post-it. And this one here, very postage friendly, single layer card like that. There we go. I hope you enjoyed that. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for sticking with us. Sorry, I was expecting this to be a very quick video, but that obviously didn't happen, did it? But thank you again for watching. So be sure to leave us a comment down below. Links to our online shop down below as well. And yes, we will be back with you again very soon. Please hit that subscribe button as well to be notified of any future videos which we do. Now, we normally come to you live every Wednesday and every Sunday evening around about 7:30. So subscribe to our channel, and then you should get notified of when we are on live, so you'll get to see us in person, me and Jay. And yeah, and there's lots of other videos on there as well which we've already pre-written. You can go back and you can watch our lives as well, which is great. Excellent. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you again very soon. Bye for now. Bye.